Good
We're live.
morning.
I have
Hello.
so stinking missed you,
I
woman.
feel like I have not, I don't know where I've been for 3 weeks, but not on the planet is what it feels like.
Well, you're not alone. There's some sickness permeating.
Yes.
And
Everyone is really sick.
I
Yeah.
know. I know.
And
So Jen and I, like, we haven't been able to talk. Like, you've been so sick, we haven't even been able to talk. And I don't know about you. I don't realize how much I value things until it's not there. I mean, I always knew I
yes.
valued you, but I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
I miss my friend.
Yeah.
Why?
It's a weird, when you don't have those normal touch points in your day and your week, everything, I think I told you, like, I don't even know, like the last 3 weeks just sort of ran together. Nothing has really stood out because there's just not been. That's why I spent a huge portion of it in bed. They're like days
Did
I
you
just
watch
never
any
got out
good
of bed.
TV shows, Jen?
I watched the latest season of The Crown. I did do that.
I've never been able to get into that show. Should I? Is it
It's
good?
slow.
Is it?
It's slow. So if you
Yeah.
don't love
I
British
do love.
history,
I
yeah.
love.
I like it. I mean, of course, the stuff now is more modern. That the
No.
times that I
No.
remember,
Yeah.
in the late '80s and '90s.
Yeah.
But my grandmother, her whole family was from England, and my whole
Oh,
family lived in England for thousands of years. If you look at my ancestry profile, it's like all Middle England for thousands and thousands. These people never left their village; they just intermarried.
yeah. Maybe that explains some things.
It does
Just
explain
kidding.
some things. I think it really does. So my grandmother was the only one of her family who had not been born in England. She was born here in the U.S., and so she was a big Anglophile. So I inherited some of that. In fact, when I was younger, and my eyes are watering for some random reason, probably because I haven't worn makeup in 3 weeks.
Okay. Beautiful.
But I loved English books. I read Paddington Bear and I read all, English mysteries and stuff. And so I would spell things with the extra U. And I remember getting in trouble one time. I had to go prove to my teacher that was actually a legitimate spelling. So it was
Oh,
just
the
an
beginnings of an editor.
alternate. Yeah, right. So anyways, yeah, so that's about all I watched. I started to watch a new Netflix show called From Scratch.
I'm writing this down.
And I only really got through one episode. It's definitely slow, but it's about a gal that goes to Italy, Florence, on
Ooh.
a college break and she's going to law school, but she's really an artist and she falls in love with the Italian man. And then, of course, how do they make life work when she goes back to the States and all that?
Ah.
But so I thought I would love it because it's a romance. I write romance.
Yes.
But it is uneven. I would say the pacing feels really uneven.
Mhm.
And I've heard other people say they're having a hard time getting into it. So I
Mhm.
haven't gone back to that yet. So I don't know if I will or not. My brain power is pretty limited. But I did finish writing my book. The last 20,000 words
Yay!
I wrote under the influence of COVID. And so I sent it off to my editing team.
That's
I'm
awesome.
so grateful.
That's
And
awesome.
one of the gals sent it back last night. And
And
there's this tension. Oh, she loved it. It was great. But she pointed out some things, and I wrote to her this morning. I said, this is what authors want to hear from editors. And if you're an author looking for an editor, this is the kind of feedback that you want. Things when they say it, you're like, yes, that's what was missing. And so at the end, I had this tension between, is the story dragging? Am I rushing it too much? And she pointed out, there's this thread you need to pick up. There's this other thing. And I had originally planned a whole scene around that. I thought, I'll just forget it. And she was like, no, you need to add that in. So it resonated. It was the right, it felt right. So if you get feedback and you're like, wow, that just doesn't sound right. That's not the kind of story I'm writing. That, like, you want a whole other story. I have heard people say, editors have told them, trash your story and start over. Like, don't ever say that to somebody. You can make it work. It's some people don't want to put the work in. They're like, okay, I'm going to do something different because, okay, I hear what you're saying. It's just too much. I don't care for the story that much.
Sure.
But I don't think an editor should ever make that decision
No.
for an author. An author should be the one who says, this is, I'm done with it. I've learned what I need to learn, or no, I want to keep working on it.
Yeah.
So I was very pleased. I will dig back into it after Thanksgiving. I will say I'm not dreading it so much, but the brain fog, it's really hard to concentrate. And so the amount of concentration that's required, weirdly enough, I can concentrate on other people's things. I did actually edit 2 books while I was not feeling fantastic.
And that is the makings and proof of an amazing editor who is in the thick of COVID and bed. And this is what we do, people. This is what we do. So tomorrow I have anybody listening today will know this, but I haven't shared it with the general public. But tomorrow I've got a pop-up podcast episode coming out because Thanksgiving, Jen, is like my favorite holiday on the planet.
Mine too is my favorite. I love it.
Oh, yes. Me too. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it has a lot of relevance to book marketing. And so I don't want to give away the juices and the exciting stuff, but you should. It's probably, Jen, my favorite episode I've ever done.
I love it.
Ever.
Love it.
And but one of the things I talk about is around gratitude, and I give some tips, and specifically people that you should be, from a marketing lens, be doing gratitude. And I don't know, like marketing and gratitude feel like they should be like oil and vinegar or positive and negative on a battery or, a magnet or whatever, but it doesn't have to be, not when you're doing authentic marketing. But one of the things is talking about thanking the team that's helping you bring your book to life, because 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, the people like you and me, your publisher, your book cover designer, all these other people, we are going above and beyond, and we are doing things during times of life that we didn't expect, or we are pouring so much of ourselves into you that our stuff might be on hold, or we are may have quoted a certain package, but we know that you needed this other thing and we just did it because that's how we work, right? So I know that like we aren't always seen for that, and that's okay. Like I'm not over here saying look at us, although Jen, maybe look at us, like yay, we do great things. But like what you just said is living proof of it, right? You go above and beyond, you make it work, because we know that there are authors out there that are birthing these babies of theirs that are so meaningful, and we want it to be fantastic. So anyways, you should everybody should check out that episode. So it is. If I liked pumpkin pie, I'd say it's like pumpkin pie, but I don't like pumpkin pie.
You don't like pumpkin pie.
I like
Is it the texture or is it the flavor?
It's all of it.
All of it. Like my daughter doesn't either.
Stuff. I just don't like pumpkin pie. There's the only pie, I really don't think I like much pie at all. But
my daughter doesn't like it because she doesn't like a warm fruit.
Right? Okay, she might like Derby pie though. When you were in Kentucky, did I do Derby pie? Did you try? Next time. Next time. Okay. It is the only pie I like, and it is a mixture of chocolate and pecans. And I don't even know what else it is. It's like trademarked or what have you. Copy. It's not, whatever. I don't know what it is.
The secret recipe.
The secret recipe of Kerns, Kerns, I believe.
Wow.
Who is the only people who make it, and it is amazing. That's the only pie I like. That's it.
That sounds great.
No more pies. But I'm
not making any pies, weirdly enough, between being gluten-free and sugar-free.
Oh, well, you can't.
So I'm making a cranberry upside down cake that's sugar-free and gluten-free. And that's actually really good. It's kind of like a coffee cake thing.
That's
with
cool.
the cranberry orange glaze. And then I'm making a pumpkin roll. So with
yes,
cream cheese and nuts and stuff. Yeah. So we're doing that. I actually was dreaming. It's so weird. I didn't have much of an appetite for weeks, but I started dreaming about the pumpkin roll. And I thought I should probably make that.
We're going to a Friendsgiving tonight. Nice. And the family that we're getting to hang out with, we're really excited about. We've never done this with them. And so we didn't know about like food restrictions, but she was aware of me being a vegetarian, which was so kind. Nice. And she shared with me that there's like 7 of them in their family. There's somebody has a dairy allergy. And so Corey is over here cooking. We're having soups. That's kind of like our theme. But Corey loves, like, as you know, you've experienced, he loves to cook. He loves to like make things. So he said, it was sweet last night. He's like, is butter dairy? I said, yes. It's like, so he goes, will you reach out to the mom and see if like, is the dairy issue something we can't do completely, or can we bring it and another? Because Corey makes a
Right.
mean homemade chocolate chip cookie. So
Mhm.
she's like, you can bring it. So Corey made chocolate chip cookies with Lindy, my
Yum.
daughter. But then he also tried a new recipe. It's a dairy-free recipe. I don't know that you could have it either. I don't think it's gluten-free, but it is a banana pudding cake. Banana pudding
Ooh, that
cake.
sounds great.
We're watching a movie last night and Corey goes missing. And I'm like, where are you? And he starts to come back and he's doing this. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's got his whisk and he didn't want to use our mechanical whisk because it was too loud. And
Oh,
he is
right.
making, what is it? Eggs and sugar. What's that make, Jen? Like it's a foam.
Like a meringue. A
Yes,
meringue.
a meringue.
Yeah.
He was making it. I'm like, what are you doing?
Wow.
He's like, it's supposed to be this. It's just so funny. So anyways, I can't wait. I have to tell you about how that is.
Oh, fun. I love the idea of Friendsgiving. My kids do that with their youth group. They did that last week, which is so much fun. And when we lived in Michigan, we had a Friendsgiving. Actually, we would do it later after Thanksgiving from all the people that were like tired of their family and wanted to go hang out with their friends. They could say they had another engagement.
I love it.
So that was always real fun. We didn't have any family back there, so it was just the three of us. So we
That's
were
awesome.
happy to do that. So, but it's
That's
not going to be
awesome.
super big. My brothers will be at my parents' house. My brothers will be there. So it's only 9 of us. It's not super huge. We've had big extended family stuff before, but it's a pain, as anybody who travels on the Thanksgiving day knows. It's a pain to travel on the day. So
Absolutely, it is. Well, for all those listening, we're thankful for you. Our gratitude runs deep. I'm thankful you're here, Jen. I'm thankful for so much. But I'm also really excited about our topic today.
yes.
And we're going to use this kind of planning topic probably through the end of the year. Because let's be real, Jen, aren't we all in the planning mode or crisis mode or wrapping up mode or something, right? And we got to thinking that it would be probably helpful as you look to next year. What are some things that you could be thinking about as an author to accomplish your goals that you have? And how could you set yourself up to be successful? January always comes with it, this feeling of a new and fresh and starting over. And so even though it's just a day difference, like there's nothing
right.
That's it.
Yeah, it's just a mental thing. And the fall is like that too. Even though I don't have kids that go to school anymore, there's still something about that end of summer, not that summer ever is even that much more relaxing, but it's just a mental thing of seasons. And I really do like this concept of seasons, where you have a season where you focus on a certain thing. And like I tell people, when you're writing a book, it's a season. It's not necessarily the rest of your life, but let's block out some time for this season so you can focus and get it done. And you really can't focus on a lot of things at once, right? You can't be like trying to save money and be on a diet and write a book and right. That's just too many things for your brain to focus on. So you do need to have a season where you're like, okay, this season, this is what I'm focusing on and I'm going to accomplish this and I'll move to the next thing. And so having that in that kind of mindset as you're finishing up the year and thinking about what you're going to be focusing on next year, this is a great time to think about what are the prep work you need to do as you're moving into thinking about your next year, especially if it includes a book.
So I had someone tell me once, Stephanie, you, and they know this about me and you would know this about me too, Jen. I want to do all the things like right now.
Right.
Got all the ideas.
Yes.
You just do it. And they said, you can do all the things, just not right now. And I'm like, thank you for that reminder. They also said that balance is actually not possible. And that was hard for me because about this time every year, I think of a word for next year to kind of be holding as my cornerstone. I'm looking for my word. I don't know where I have it.
Yeah, we had our piece.
My piece. I don't know where my piece went. My piece went missing. Maybe because I lost my
piece. Here's piece.
There's piece. I love it. I've been thinking about what that is too, like for next year, right? What are you going to use as your grounding piece? Total pun intended. I've been thinking about what tools do I need? So like I've already bought my wall calendar and I'm starting to plan things out.
Yes.
It's something that I do every year in preparation. And I'll kick into this here next week when December hits, is I always sit down and look at the calendar as a whole. And I like to schedule quarterly Stephanie meetings. I call them
Yes.
my CEO retreats.
Yeah. No,
And I
here comes
go to
the-
a freaking hotel,
Yeah.
20 minutes from the house for a night or two. And I sit with myself and I evaluate, like, are we where we want to be? And there's always a funny joke over here where my dad will be like, so how's the C-suite doing? And I'm like, oh, the CFO is a little annoying, and, but I'm going to take her out for a drink and she might change her mind or whatever. So we have fun doing that. But planning it is pivotal, because when you put time on the calendar and then you respect you enough, what happens is you can accomplish things you never thought you could.
Right. That's so true.
Right? It's not possible if you don't plan for it and you don't respect it. So you have to plan for it and you have to respect it. So if writing a book next year is something that, or whenever, is something that's on your to-do list, I have kind of 3 things I'd love for you and I to talk about on planning to make that book come to fruition. And I figured, Jen, we'll talk today kind of about some high-level elements. Maybe next week we can go into the deep elements of actually the writing process. So today I think it could be, maybe let's talk about planning to write a marketable book before you ever really put pen to paper.
Yes, I love that.
So I
Very
say,
important.
right? And so I want to just like articulate, first and foremost, I didn't just say to write a book. I said to write a marketable book.
Yeah.
And I really think that is a game changer if you want to be successful. And I don't care if it's fiction or nonfiction. You have to write a book that is marketable. And what I mean by that is it's a book that will sell.
Yes.
I sell it.
Yes. I think the thing people have to think about, and I always ask clients when they come to me, what is your goal for this book, right? Yeah. Sometimes you are just writing a book for yourself, for your family, your friends. Totally fine. Totally fine. I'm on an editing loop, and one of the questions that came in yesterday was there was a person who wanted to tell their side of a story that had kind of been out in the public or whatever. Yeah. Totally fine. And but the market for that is going to be people that know you, your friends and family. Like the general public, frankly, doesn't care. And so I think there's wonderful family stories. There's wonderful family history with Amazon and print on demand. It makes it so easy for everybody in your family to get copies. It's a wonderful idea. So I would never say to someone, oh, don't write that because it's not commercial. But be very clear up front what your goal is, because you don't want to write a personal story that's only interesting to your friends and family, and then you're trying to market it and you're like, why does nobody care about this book? And because people, what's in it for me, right? That's their goal.
For me, yeah. Who's the book really about? Yeah. So I love all that. And that actually takes me to the first point. If you are going to write a marketable book next year, meaning you're going to write a book that will sell, you need to know who needs your book.
Yes. Who is your audience? Who are you writing this for? And it's not everybody.
It's not everybody. But beyond that, take it even deeper. And it's not just not for everybody. But you need to know, are the people you're writing it for, do they see that they need it?
Yes. Right? How far down the journey of transformation are they? If your book is like 3 steps in, then that's a very particular market. And the people that are early on may not realize that they need that book. So I always like use like a financial, if you're writing a financial book, there's all sorts of levels of financial literacy and sophistication and things like that, right? And so if you are writing a book that requires a little bit extra, people already have the basics down, do not be marketing it to the basic people. They don't even know that they need, like they're not even aware that they need this kind of thing. And so sometimes in your marketing campaign, and if you do like any courses or any pre-work, you can kind of prep people and take them to get them ready for that, depending. But be very, very clear where you are on that transformation journey for those people. Now, sometimes you'll see people that they write an intro book, like a beginning level, and then they write a more advanced, and that also can work really well too. But be very clear on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like to share what I had a podcast host recently tell me. I'm going to coin it, Jen, the brownie principle. The brownie principle is a whole story.
There's a whole story about brownies in your book.
I know. So I am maybe I'm going to do an author cookbook, Jen, where we use these different.
Fun.
This is the joys of Stephanie Brain. But the brownie principle really breaks apart. Do you need the brownies or do you want the brownies? There's more to the story, but that's true. So at the end of the day, when your target reader is going down the grocery store aisle and they see a box of brownies, do they go, oh, that was wonderful, and they just put that 99-cent box of brownies or whatever it is nowadays in the cart because they need it? Or do they sit there and go, those extra calories, I don't know. Should I spend the money on this or that? I don't know. Is it for a special holiday? Oh, we'll see. Right. A marketable book is the one where they're like, absolutely, I need a corner brownie piece today. Put it in the cart. So when you think about your book, I want your target readers to not sit back and reflect on, gosh, is the $20, is it going to add more complications to my life, or is it going to help my life? Is it going to be worth the investment, or are you just trying to sell me to something else? Is it going to be transformative? And I think about that even in the fiction world, y'all. This concept is pivotal, because if you find your target reader and they see you as a need, they will buy your book. And knowing that will help you in your writing for it.
That's absolutely true. They need to see your book as a need. I mean, you have to be so targeted. That's exactly it. They're like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So I saw something on Twitter the other day. It was a picture of a book, and whoever was posting it was like automatic buy. Like that book, they were like, I see that book. I have to have it. Like, I just have to have it. It sounds fantastic. It's exactly what I'm interested in, blah, 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 all those kinds of things. And so you want your book to be that way for your reader, where they're like, you've read my mail, you know exactly what I'm struggling with. And
it's like the iPhone that's listening and the ads start populating. Where that come from? Yeah, that's it. That's it. So as you're planning, know crystal clear who needs your book. The second thing, so that one's about them, not about you. But I think the second thing, Jen, is, okay, so now about you. How are you going to use your book? What are you going to do with this book? Is it to write it and be done, which is fine. That's a different process. But is it something you want to use in how you work with people? Is it a part of a series? Is it a part of an online course you have? Is it a part of coaching work? Is it a workbook I don't know. Is it a lead magnet to bring? Only you can articulate that, but knowing that will make sure that you are writing it the right way.
Yes. So true. Because it's not only just the audience, but it's refining what you're doing. So does it need a companion workbook? If you're going to be doing it in like a group work setting, a workbook is super helpful. When I wrote my book, Eat the Elephant, my coaching clients were like, I want a workbook. Like, you have all these exercises. I want to work through them as I'm going through my book. And I thought, wow, I don't work that way. So it would never have occurred to me. Someday I will get a workbook out. But it's on my list because I thought, that's really, really helpful. It's different if you're it's something that you're just handing to clients. It's different if you're speaking and it's going to be in the back of the room. So all of those things are very, very important to be thinking about up front as far as how you're going to structure the book, the message of the book, and what other ancillary products you're going to create off of the book. And that's it's really important to think about.
Absolutely. So, I think you know this. I'm working my next book. We'll see if it comes out before. I've got a couple plans for next year, but the next book I'm working on is around my health diagnosis that I had got this about a year ago this time a year ago. And I have done a lot of thoughts and questions on how would I use the book, right? And it actually became very directional in getting clarity on that. So it's very much a memoir of the journey of what it was like to deal with a chronic illness. But at the end, because I think that there's value for this message to be used and for for caregivers to better understand and for medical professionals to better understand what it's like from the patient standpoint. I have added 2 sections in the book where I interview my husband and I interview my doctor in a very conversational way,
Right.
but in a to help understand their perspective of the story. And that's very intentional because it's meant to, now if I'm able to talk to nurse practitioners or the types of doctors that helped me get my diagnosis, I will have insights included, right? So knowing
Yes.
how people will use it will help you go, oh, I didn't even think about the fact that probably a caregiver could pick this up and appreciate better understanding what a chronic illness looks like.
Yes.
And then the caregiver's also represented in it, right? And
Yeah.
so whether it's a memoir, whether it's a fiction, whether it's a business book or anything in between, I think knowing how you're going to use it gives you so much guidance and so
Mhm.
much perspective.
That's
Um,
very true. Very, very helpful.
yeah.
And
So
not
the
to say
last, oh, go ahead.
not to say that you can't fix it afterwards,
Sure.
but it
Sure.
does make it, because you do find sometimes people write a book and it gets
Right.
out there and it goes a different direction than you planned. And then, you can come back and adjust. But like with many things in life, if you can plan it out front, you can be more efficient, maybe a better use of your resources. I
Right.
mean, there's all things where as we've gone on this journey, we're like, oh, if I'd known that, I wish I would have done that differently. And
Right?
so that's part of the advantage of working with professionals, is that we have not only our own journey, but lots of other authors on this journey. And so we can say, well, you might want to consider this. You might not have thought about this. This is something to think about. And
Mhm.
so those are great ways that we can help you work on that before you get too far down the road.
Right. I just had a chat with an author today who was working on his third book, and he was working on his keynotes, and his third book is in alignment with his keynote. But we had a deep reflection today about how he wants to use the book and where he wants the book to take him. And we uncovered his need for having a business framework, having a business model, and then leveraging this forthcoming book to align with his business model so he can use it in so many different settings. And it was an aha moment. And that just goes back to knowing how you're going to use the book and what you want it to
Yeah.
do for you. Which takes me to the third thing I want to not just touch on is, how are you going to get it done? How are you going to
Yes.
get it done? Books don't write themselves, Jen, do they?
No.
Even if you get a ghostwriter, it still doesn't write itself.
Right. Even if you do, and that's a total legitimate thing to do, but then you've got to make time to meet with the ghostwriter, to answer the questions, to review the drafts, those kinds of things. Again, that's a fantastic way. A lot of very busy people, or people with, a lot of business people will do that, or people who have things to say, but writing isn't necessarily their strong suit.
Right, which is
Certainly is a great way to go. But even if you're doing it yourself because you want to, I mean, regardless, you are going to have to block off time
Yep.
to get it done. There's just no way around it. It just is going to take time. Like anything in life that has value and is important to you, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, no, there's many ways you can do that, right? So if I found this year when I cranked through my manuscript for the book for the year, going to the mountains, that gave me like away time. That was wonderful. I've been finding recently getting up a little bit early gives me time. But another creative idea I just want to share is, depending upon the type of book you're writing, I have found it was a lot easier for me to write my latest business book because I had been in the last year, this past year has been and honestly several years I've been focused on content sharing.
Mhm.
And so I had already articulated some of these ideas that were in my head and noodled through
Yeah.
them. So, a way could be, as you are getting it done, it could be that you want to leverage your LinkedIn lives or social or video
Yes.
content in the
Yeah.
first half of the year so you can articulate it and then transcribe it in the second half of the year and turn into a book. Like, there isn't one way to do it, but you do have to think about how you're going to do it, because it will not
Yes.
happen if you don't think about it.
I think it's a great way. One of the things that's fantastic, it used to be back when blogs were bigger, and this still works for
Yep.
some people. They would blog a book.
Mhm.
Basically, they take their ideas and they would blog about them. And then, that would become the bulk of
Right.
what ends up being their book. But you
Right.
can still do that with social media, with LinkedIn Lives.
Yep.
And the nice thing about that is you're kind of putting out little nuggets or little chunks
Yep.
of it, and then you get feedback. and you can either incorporate that feedback. It might make you think about something different. People might ask clarifying questions that makes you realize, oh, I actually need to talk about this more, or I forgot this earlier point I probably need to establish first. It's a really great way to get that reader feedback before you've actually put your book out, and in smaller chunks. And at the same time, it's building your platform. It's getting people interested in the topic. And so it can definitely be a win-win-win all the way around.
One of my favorite ways to do that is through the podcast that I host. And Jen, oh my gosh, since we last chatted, my podcast has had over 3,000 downloads.
Look at you.
I know, like, and we're going fast. I'll be surprised by the end of the year if we aren't close to, almost 4,000. It's insane.
I know. I actually opened my podcast app last night when I was waiting for my son to get off work. And I saw all of yours. They all downloaded right into my little feed. I'm like, oh, I got to binge all these. Yay! Maybe today while I'm cooking.
Yes. And you have to do tomorrow's because it's good. But what I love about podcast hosting is, first of all, it's actually the only metrics, Jen, that I look at outside of financial metrics. I don't look at social metrics because I don't think that they're real. But podcast metrics are a lot of fun. And I actually can see when people go on a rabbit hole and they found an idea and I can't see the person. So don't worry out there. I can't see anything like that, but I can see what may have triggered something, or I can sort my podcasts based on the most popular downloads. And that is also eye-opening for me to be able to go, oh, people are searching for this and people are listening to this and this is intriguing to them. So I love sharing content and then reflecting backwards and seeing what could be packaged into it.
I love that. I think that's such a great way to do it. It's a really smart way to go about it as well. So you're writing things that your audience wants to hear about, and you're not having to put the whole book out first.
Right.
You're able to talk about the topics, and maybe your audience wants to go deeper in a section that you really hadn't thought about. And that can be really, really helpful.
I'm a believer in working smarter, not harder, Jen.
Right.
Life is hard enough. It's crazy enough. Well, that takes me to the book that I've been reading. I've got a quote. It actually goes on a line. Okay, I'm going to do this, which you can't even see. But when my husband and I teach Sunday school, and every week we're always like, okay, kids, open the book and put it on your head. So what page are you on? Put it on your head. So anyways, Company of One by Paul Jarvis. This has taken me forever to read, for real. I've had it sitting in my bathroom while I'm getting ready and fixing my hair for the last, 9 months. No joke. But I think part of it has been because I have continuously reevaluated what I want my business to look like. And I don't ever read a book and not finish it. Like, it drives me insane. Even if the book isn't good, I will finish it. Right.
Yes. I will skip pages, but I'm like, I'll be going fast, but I'll be like, okay, how did you end up with this?
Right. Yeah. Right. So I'm glad I did, because I'm loving it now. So I think I just needed a different headspace. But the latest quote in the book that I underlined, I just think is brilliant. And I think it's good when we're talking with planning is this. It says, even companies of one should never try to do everything or deal with everything alone. And even working for yourself doesn't have to mean working by yourself. So when you're thinking about planning, right? Isn't that beautiful? When we're thinking about planning for next year, I think you should also be thinking about planning, who do I need on the team? Who's going to help me? And how can I get in their queue so that their timelines and my timelines are in alignment?
Yeah. I love that.
Right. I had to sit with
right. People that are good at what they do get booked out. Like, we're literally booking editing projects in April now.
That's insane.
So when you want the right people on your team, you can't just call and say, hey, tomorrow, can you be on my team? And they're like, sorry.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to put a banner up here so that way, if they want you or I, get on, reach out, because we be busy people. Right. But truly, plan for that. And also know that alone is not fun.
No. And so much more fun to have someone on the journey with you.
You do. And it doesn't have to be you or I, although we'd love to. It doesn't have to be any, you pick. It could be a resource that you are watching. It could be a group of local authors or people who understand you. It could be, a girls' trip, or I don't care what it is. But realize nothing in life has to be done alone. In fact, the book I'm writing, which is which is called The Fight to Stay Awake. It is all around kind of this battle messaging is interwoven, and it talks about that battles are not won alone.
Yes. I love that. That's
You need people to suit up your armor. You need people to guard you. You need people to watch your back, right? Like you need them all. And so anyways, writing a marketable book is possible, achievable. Next week, we will go deeper into mechanics. And I think Jen's brain's going to go amazing there. And if you all have any questions specifically that you want us to talk about next week, as we dig into the mechanics behind writing this marketable book, let us know. But between then, Jen, I'm sorry. I didn't say the mug. I know I saw you have our mugs, but did you see my new mug?
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so cool.
And I we're at the mountains with the kids for our anniversary and in Kentucky. And so if you look really close, these are the mountains.
The mountain and the horse, and it's
like
perfect.
Snow. I know. So I have been waiting to show you this. I was so excited.
I love that.
Anyways, all right, Jen, sign us off, my friend.
All right, authors, your words have power, your message has power, and you have power. So we invite you to take all of that to the page and beyond and join with us each week as we help you make your book better and marketable and get your message out.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye-bye.